This is the difference between fructose and glucose and how they're metabolized within the human body. Now, glucose is used for a variety of different functions. It's used in blood glucose, it's used by particular organs, it's used by your red blood cells, also known as erythrocytes, it's used by the brain, and it's used by your muscles. So we would say that the demand for glucose is incredibly high. Therefore, it's harder to store as fat. Whereas if we actually compare fructose, the liver is the only organ and actually the only thing within the body that metabolizes or uses fructose. So if the liver is full, if your liver glycogen is at its maximal capacity, well, that excess fructose needs to go somewhere. And it's actually converted into fat via a process known as de novo lipogenesis. And what's interesting is that fructose does not satiate the individual. Therefore, it has no real impact on hunger and satiety hormones, ghrelin and leptin. I like to call ghrelin the gremlin because it comes out into the stomach, it shoots an arrow up to the brain, it says, Jack, you are incredibly hungry. So of course, if you're having something like high fructose corn syrup or something like honey, this is going to be high in fructose, which means it's not going to have a direct impact over that hunger hormone, or in particular the satiety hormone leptin, which means that's why you have a considerable amount, because you're not feeling hungry or you're not feeling full. As well as this, when you have a high fructose diet, your uric acid increases. And when uric acid increases, it actually lowers your insulin sensitivity. So insulin is a hormone produced by the pancreas, and its primary function is the storage of nutrients. And you can have insulin resistance or insulin sensitivity. So if we've got lower insulin sensitivity, we could say that it's a form of resistance, which means insulin is not going to take the nutrients from the blood into your cells as efficiently. Therefore, it's going to lead to more fat storage, because that excess fructose, it has to go somewhere. It doesn't just disappear. Therefore, it's more than likely going to be stored as fat, subcutaneous, which you can take 2 fingers, you pinch the bottom of your skin, there's a little bit of fat there, that's subcutaneous fat, and then visceral fat is fat surrounding our organs. But that's the difference between fructose and glucose and how they're metabolized in the body. What's also interesting is that if you were to eat the same calories, they're going to have very different results. So of course, if your diet is incredibly high in glucose compared to fructose, I would actually say you're going to have a better, if not a leaner body composition, even if you're eating the same calories as a high fructose diet.